Page 1 of 2. Icon controls camera flip hollow.
Okay, guys. Hello, folks. I just did one of these a couple of days ago, and I'm back on again. I'm gonna try to get this camera so that my arm doesn't kill me as I'm trying to broadcast. So I thought this thing would read comments. 1 second. Okay, so yeah, sorry, I'm trying to get this set up. Should be good in a minute. Now, I should really get a tripod because to hold your arm out like this, or at least for me, to hold my arm out like this for an extended period of time is rather painful. So anyway, if folks are commenting, I'm not seeing it right now. I don't know what's going on, if it's just something I've set incorrectly, or if there's another issue. Let me see something here.
Magister 480 joined.
Okay, I'm seeing that now. Let me pull this down.
Page 2 of 2. Page 1 of 2.
Okay. Hi, Chris. Solway. Alright.
Page 2 of 2.
Let's see.
Button. Icon controls.
Okay. I'm not sure if I'm not seeing comments because I have the control thing pulled down at the top or not. Could someone throw me out a comment? Chris, could you just throw me out a test and see if I'm seeing it? I may have to pull this down.
Icon participants at Magister 480.
Ah, sorry. Gracias, Sibi. Alright, yeah, I'm seeing it. Okay, folks, so yeah, I've come up with a nifty new, a nifty new idea, which I will discuss in a minute once I get myself situated. By the way, if the lighting is bad, let me know. It's kind of cloudy out right now, and I don't have any lamps on in here. So, also for those of you who may be new to this, I do have a vision impairment, if you saw my profile, and so I may not always notice your comments immediately. If you want to comment, put it there again if you think I missed it.
At Magister 480.
Okay, that's yours still. Awesome. Because my visual field is very narrow, and when I look at the center of the screen, I'm not seeing what's below that center of the screen. And so sometimes I have to look down to see if anyone's left comments. That being said, I've decided to start a new little Periscope feature. By the way, I hope I'm not too close. I'm resting my left elbow on my right hand, and just so that I'm halfway far away from the camera and so it doesn't hurt. New feature here on my Periscope profile. It's basically taking questions on blindness, generally, and the blind community, and also specifically on how blindness affects me as an individual. The second might be more appropriate for folks, who have followed me before, either on Facebook or Twitter or wherever, because you kind of have a sense of me generally already. But anyone can throw questions my way, on either subject. So, yeah, again, new feature. I don't know how often I'll be doing this. It depends on the popularity. So, again, guys, feel free to share, swipe left, share this, like it, heart it. Again, let me know if I'm too close to the camera. Let me know if there are any lighting issues, because I won't always be able to notice that. I'm going to try to put things up on YouTube. It seems like I was actually further away on my last Periscope when I had my arm like this. Anyway, I'm going to try to put this up on YouTube. So that you guys can see it later, and so that it'll save, and I think it'll be educational for other folks as well. Now, I don't know if the chat things will come up on YouTube or not. I've never tried this before, and I presume when I saved a camera roll, the format will be compatible with it. But again, I've never tried it before, so we'll see.
At Magister 480.
Okay, looks like I don't have any other comments right now. Now, for those of you who may be listening to this and who are wondering, I haven't actually checked my participant number, so I don't know how many people are on here at this point. Of course, I know Chris is. But I cannot read physically with my crappy eyes the comments, and so I use a speech software on my iPhone, And so in order to read comments, I have to place my finger down to where the comments are coming, and then my speech reads it aloud, or reads those comments aloud. So, right, so I may miss some folks, as I said. Just if I miss you, if it usually if I've missed you, you won't hear voiceover read your comment. So if you put in a comment, you don't hear voiceover reading it, then go and throw it out again, and I will try to get to you. All right. So today I'm going to make this basically kind of like a open line kind of thing, if you will. I'm going to just talk a little bit, and if someone comes on with a question, I'll go and answer it. But until then, I'm going to just kind of talk on in a kind of, perhaps a kind of stream of consciousness way. It's kind of on the fly. It's very informal, and it's not something I've planned. Ow. So yeah. By the way, again, like this, share this, try to get this out there. I'm all into promoting it. I'm all into educating the general public about vision impairment. What started this whole idea about periscoping on this subject is I was on Twitter this morning, and a situation happened around here that got me to thinking about how blind people are understood in the general society, and I did a kind of a series of tweets on that subject, and happened to later today talk about Periscope, and I was like, hey, why not do this on Periscope? Why not make this a unique feature of my profile? Everyone on Periscope these days is competing to have something really unique, so I thought this would be awesome. And believe me, I want to share the wealth, so if there are any other blind folks watching this right now, I would recommend y'all doing this too. I mean, we need more people doing this. We need as many people educating the general public as we can get, so feel free to steal my idea. In any case, as I said, I'm going to try to put this on YouTube later. Now, for those who don't already know, I do have a vodcast, a video podcast, that I have up on YouTube. It's in the form of a playlist. Now, it isn't regular, but when I think of a good subject to cover, I put a new one up. It's a little more formal than this, not very much more formal, but a little more formal. And it's called Through My Eyes. You can get to it I think you can just get to it by searching Through My Eyes, normal spelling of everything, in quotes, when you go to the YouTube search. Either that, or you can go to my Twitter profile, and the link is right there on the profile. My Twitter handle is the same as it is here. I'm going to probably end up putting my Periscope handle / Twitter handle on the information when and if I upload this to YouTube. Yeah, what shall I start with? I don't see any comments at the moment. Again, I'm still trying to get used to using this, so I may be missing something. Folks who follow me on Twitter, do let me know if I am missing something, if I'm missing one of your comments or missing someone else's. Again, if you don't hear my speech reading it aloud, I've probably missed it, or I haven't noticed it yet. So yeah, this is a blind person. It's kind of an experiment, for me, and for a lot of the blind folks who are on here. There are a number of them who have gotten on here. Most of them just, like to watch and listen to other Periscopers. But, see, I have a white shirt on, too, which is kind of looking like a comment there in the lower left to me because of my screwy eyes. Anyway, most join just to watch and listen to Periscopes, other ones, but some do broadcast, myself included. And again, I think more of us should, to kind of, again, get the word out there and show people what we're capable of and all that good stuff. Okay, so let's start out with some. As you probably could guess, I do have some vision, based on how I'm doing the Periscope now and the fact that I do have glasses. But it is pretty limited. It's actually very dim compared to a normal sight. I don't get a lot of light into my retinas, so I see things in a very dim way. It's common for the condition I have, which is Leber's amaurosis, if you want to look it up. Leber's congenital amaurosis. I also have optic atrophy, Eales disease, and color deficiency, so I have a bunch of stuff on top of each other. I've always wondered if it is a completely new mutation of some gene, because, it's very unique for me to have all of these things at once. In any case, how that practically manifests itself, as I said, my vision's dimmer. I do read print, but it's very large, and it has to be very high contrast. I read about size 4 or 5 times magnification, generally, say on a computer screen. I use a magnification program on my computer to read the screen. The magnification program I use is called Zoom Text. I also have speech on it, so some things I actually just read with speech because it's quicker. I do have a very narrow field of vision, as I mentioned. It's about 30 degrees. And so when I read, it's actually a lot slower because I'm only seeing maybe 1 or 2 characters at a time. And so that's when I sometimes read using speech. Now, if you've seen my profile, I am a Latinist by training, and unfortunately, VoiceOver on the iPhone does not read Latin very well. And so, when I'm going to read Latin, I use my magnification. And speech on Zoom Text doesn't read Latin very well either. And so I try to just visually read that, even if it's a long document, if I'm reading Latin. I just haven't gotten used to the way it pronounces things and its phonetics. Even on, Italian or something like that, it's kind of screwy. So, right. I do know Braille. I learned it through a correspondence course from the Hadley School for the Blind. I think it's in Illinois. When I started having some other issues with my eyes several years ago, and I thought I might lose more of my vision than I have, in fact. But I do know Braille, and I use it when I can, and, when it's available. Although I still prefer print because I don't use Braille that much, and I'm still kind of slow with it. Like I said, print-wise, I use very high contrast. White text, black background. A lot of sighted people, it really hurts their eyes from what I hear. I've never been able to understand that. Of course, they're probably seeing things a lot more brightly than I am. But let's see what else. Now, I've described actually quite a bit of this, what I just said anyway, already on Through My Eyes, that I mentioned earlier. So if you want a more formal sort of rundown of my visual condition, there's a whole video dedicated to that. And so yeah, just go ahead and check that out. Let's see what else. Well, today I was particularly discussing sort of the social aspects of blindness, and I argued, and I think most other blind people would agree with me, that in an age, excuse me, in an age of ever increasing technological sophistication, we do still face physical barriers as blind people, but most of the barriers we face tend to be social. And I think many, as I argued on Twitter, many of the barriers that are physical that we face are, I think, largely based on the social perception of blind people. A lot of times, able-bodied people, sighted people, will, for whatever reason, either consciously or unconsciously, consider us somehow inferior to them. I've gotten talked to very loudly as if I were hearing impaired rather than visually impaired. I've gotten talked to as if I were a 2-year-old instead of my actual age, which is certainly not 2. And a lot of other sort of what I would consider very patronizing things. A lot of people are very uneducated about what blind people are capable of, what they can and cannot do. So that's another big issue. And so very often, again, whether it's conscious on the part of sighted people or not, we are considered second-class citizens, quite frankly, and less than equal to fully sighted people. Now, again, maybe that's my perception. I think it is correct. Although it is getting better. It has gotten better within the past few decades or so, certainly among younger people. They're starting to understand us better and respect us as people with equal dignity, if you will. So that's certainly improving. What else? Let's see. I'm gonna probably stay on here, by the way, for I don't know how many minutes have gone by. Probably for a little bit longer. I don't seem to be getting a lot of comments right now. Again, folks, if you are interested in this, if you want to share this, feel free to do so. I'm not shy about answering any questions. Basically, nothing's off limits. You can, just throw out any question about blindness you have or about my particular form of blindness. Some of you may know that not every blind person is totally blind. Actually brings up an interesting point in that regard. As I said before, I do have a good degree of what we call usable vision. In other words, I can see a decent amount, even though it is limited, certainly decently for my condition. A lot of people with my condition are either totally blind or they have only light perception, so it's a lot more limited even than what mine is. So yeah, not everyone has the same level of vision acuity, although pretty well all of us with severe vision loss identify as blind. Blind does not always mean totally blind or black blind. So we even visual impairment, a lot of it falls under the category of blindness. We don't mind being called blind. A lot of us, in fact, cannot stand the words differently abled. That's just very patronizing to us. Call us disabled, call us blind. Now, the term handicapped is a little old-fashioned. Some of us do have some issues with that. And again, I myself do tend to prefer the word disabled to handicapped. So my recommendation is use that when you're talking to people with disabilities, and certainly even about them. Because excuse me, because the more educated we can get people, the better. Even our people who are fully sighted, who care about issues that we care about, need to promote the notion of equality to their sighted friends and family and acquaintances and associates, right? As I was saying again earlier on Twitter. Again, I don't want to seem like I'm completely just talking and talking and talking. I would be interested in taking questions, but as I said, I'll just continue to throw out random topics on here until I get some questions. And by the way, don't just promote it today. If you think about it, talk to your friends about this, and promote it up here on Periscope, promote it on Twitter, wherever you have your social circle. Promote it in real life. Get more folks on Periscope. Get them to join me. By the way, also, if you want to check out some of the recommendations I've given, definitely follow me. Or if you want to continue to follow this kind of broadcast, just be sure to go ahead and follow. I'll probably be putting the same title each time for this kind of broadcast, so you'll know when it comes up. Right. And folks on YouTube, join Periscope, jump on, follow me. Even though I'll be putting these on YouTube, I do other Periscopes as well, and you might be interested in following those. And I also have some really awesome recommendations for other folks to follow. So, right. What else can I go on about today? It's hard to come up with stuff off the top of my head because usually there has to be something that inspires a particular discussion. Now, it's obviously not around anymore, but one of the first blindness-related Periscopes I did was on white cane technique. Now, pretty well the universal appearance of a white cane for someone who is blind is you have a white shaft and a red tip. Now, that's pretty well the universal symbol for a blind person's cane. There are some companies, blindness companies, that are making canes in other colors, but to me, I'm not exactly a big fan of it because, a lot of people when they see a person using a cane that's not red and white, they think that there is a mobility issue, a walking issue. And for me, I just want to make sure people know what's going on with me, that it's not a walking issue, it's a visual issue. And that's another reason that a lot of times in public, even if I don't need a cane, if I know sort of the environment, if I've memorized it ahead of time, for instance, and if it really hasn't changed, I still will carry a cane with me, just so that people who might see me for the first time, if they see me acting differently than they might expect because of my vision, they'll know, oh, it's because of her vision and it's not something else going on. So a cane is good for mobility and getting around and seeing what things are in front of you or feeling them, but it's also good for identification. And now that's an interesting topic among the blind community. Some people honestly are quite ashamed to have a cane in public. For me, I'm not ashamed of my blindness. I'm not ashamed to answer questions. It's a part of me, and I really don't care to be ashamed about it. And so that's something I feel about strongly. I think blind people should have, if they need canes, they should have them out with them. Both to be able to get around more easily and to be able to identify them as blind. As heartbreaking as it may be to some people, at least people don't think there's something else wrong if they see you interacting with your environment in a different way. So anyway, that actually is one of many topics that are rather up for debate among the blind community. Again, kind of this sort of touches on another interesting point about the blind community. These kinds of issues we call philosophy of blindness issues. So, where some people might not want to have a cane out, others very much advocate it in public. Some people prefer dogs, others canes. Now, that issue is not so much a thing. It's more of a personal preference. Although some people with guide dogs advocate their use because of security reasons. But there are other issues, philosophy of blindness issues, that actually have divided the blind community historically over many years. One of them, a major one, very, very generally, is how we are to adapt to our environment as blind people. Okay? So, for instance, one side of the debate says, oh, we should expect society to adapt to our needs. That we have a right as equal citizens of our societies, so that they should be required to adapt to our needs. Now, that tends to be one major side of it. Now, the other side is that no, society shouldn't be required to adapt to our needs for a number of reasons. Some people think it's just, that they understand practically that there are cost issues and even some burden issues, if you will, in society. And so that side says, no, we should adapt from within. We should come up with our own technologies. We should come up with our own techniques to adapt to the larger society. They shouldn't be forced to adapt to us. That's the major sort of other side of the issue. Now, the first side of the issue that I mentioned is generally represented, of course not in all, but I don't want to generalize too much, but it's generally represented by one of the larger organizations of blind people in this country, how did I organize this? The first one was Society Adapting to Us. It's represented by the American Council of the Blind, or ACB, right? That's, again, I think it's the second largest organization of blind people in the country right now, in the U.S. I keep forgetting to look at my comments. I need to do that more often. Again, if you guys have commented, just throw them out again. I probably missed it, because I'm not looking down there as much as I should. Right, so, and the second position, getting back to the topic at hand, the second position that I mentioned is generally represented by, as I understand it, the largest blindness organization in the country, the National Federation of the Blind, the NFB. Now, again, these are organizations not just for blind people run by sighted people, but these are organizations of blind people. And the sighted people that are members, as I understand it, are considered honorary members. These organizations largely operate under the philosophy that we know best what we need, right? We appreciate sighted help, as I said on Twitter earlier, but we know best what we need. And, strength comes in numbers, and we need to represent ourselves and be seen as representing ourselves in a very active way instead of a passive way, being helped by people or being represented, in a very strong way to society, to our government. Now, as I said, these two organizations actually used to be one organization, but they were divided over the kinds of issues that I mentioned back in the 60s. And so it's actually rather political at this point. And I right now, I'm pretty well consider myself proudly unaffiliated with either of these organizations because of all the politics involved. Perhaps I should get involved with one of them just for my own sake, and the benefits that I might accrue from that. But at this point, I kind of get sick of the politics involved. And so, yeah. Yeah, I don't know about other disability groups, but ours can get pretty political. As I would expect that groups like deaf groups and other disability groups would have similar discussions and debates and issues, but I don't know how political they are compared to ours. One bad thing about that, of course, is that we are not as united as we could be, and we a lot of times will in fact be sending mixed messages to our leaders, particularly in government, about accommodations and what we want and what we don't want and all of that, which can be a little confusing and certainly doesn't do much to advance our cause. But anyway, what else? You know what? Well, actually, let me go ahead and show you my cane real quick. I'm going to put this on the back camera, and you're going to see a black screen for a moment, but that will change, so just hold on. Periscope really needs a hold feature, some kind of message you can put up whenever you want to stop taping, but you don't want to end the broadcast, if you don't just want to stop for a short time. Anyway, I'm going to put this on the back facing, and
Page 1 of 2. Icon controls camera flip.
my cane, and show you how that works. Now, you probably heard something like click, click, click. This is a folding cane, so you actually unfold it and...
Icon controls camera flip column.
Alrighty, I'm just going to be pointing at random stuff for a second, but, alright, so, folding cane. And so it actually, it's like, there's a little, I don't know if I have this in the view right now. There it is. There is a little, strap here that goes throughout the hollow shaft of the cane, and it's sort of a stretchy type thing, and so when you open it up, little sections unfold, and yeah, it's kind of dark in here, so it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing, but sections unfold, and pretty well automatically. You don't have to like open up every single section. All right, so there is the white cane. It looks like there's a bit of a shadow. Let's see what I'm doing here. Right. There we are. There's the bottom of it. Going up. There, up to my hand. La-ti-da. Okay, and again, I showed folks white cane technique before, but let me go through a brief little demonstration. So, there is actually a technique to using white cane. We're not just swinging it around in front of ourselves. So, it's really dark in here to me right now. Maybe it's... Let's see. Where am I here? What's going on with this camera? Hold on. Okay, I'm going to put this really close, so... Okay, see how I'm going to move back. Alrighty. There we go. So, alright, there's the tip. And what happens is, there's a technique to this. So again, we're not swinging it around back and forth randomly. What the technique is supposed to do is the cane is supposed to touch something before your foot does. So that anticipates when you're walking what's in front of you. So when you're walking, the cane is going to be in front of the foot that is back. So my foot is back here. I think you can see that. The foot is back here and the cane is in front of it. Yeah, it's in front of it. And so when you walk, that cane is always going to be in front of the foot that's back. You put your left foot in, you put your left foot out, right? When your left foot is in, the cane's in front of it. When your right foot is in, the cane is in front of it. Some people do a tap-tap thing. I don't know how much you can see or how much I'm focusing on this, but some people do a tap-tap in front of them. Some people do, if I can get this back in focus, some people do a sliding thing. That's harder to see now. Anyway, some people do a sliding thing. They just slide across now, back and forth. But I actually prefer, I'm going to go back to myself.
Icon controls camera flip column. Icon controls camera flip column. Button. Icon controls camera flip.
Right.
Button.
I actually prefer, there we are, to slide mine, because I don't miss anything on the ground that way. But again, different strokes for different folks, even in the blind community. And that's actually more true than you might expect. A lot of times we prefer different things depending on our own needs and desires. I'm going to sit back down. It's easier to see what I'm doing sitting on the couch. Alrighty. There we go. So, right. There you have it. Now where was I going with this before that? Kind of got off on a tangent. I tend to do that. Let's see. You know what? I think that's gonna do it for today, actually. And I'm gonna try to save this. My camera is probably gonna be a big hulking file. But, we shall see. If I can't save it, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. But, we'll get to that when we get to it. Again, folks, share this. I'm not sure if you can share it when you replay it, but if you can, share it now, share it then. Like it. Comment, ask questions. That's what I'm here for. And, like I said, I'll try to get this on YouTube, so check there. I'm going to try to make a list, another playlist on my YouTube channel, again, same username as it is here and on Twitter, called something like my Periscopes. So definitely look for it there. And if you have any questions when you replay this, either, well, I don't think you can comment on here when you're replaying, but comment on YouTube. Ask questions on YouTube, and I'll try to answer them either in a Through My Eyes broadcast or on this next broadcast here. So, thanks to folks who are watching. I'm going to replay this a little later as well, to make sure I didn't miss any questions. And if I didn't get to this time, I will write those questions down and that I see down at the bottom, and I will get to you guys next time. So, I will talk with you. I cannot talk now. I will talk with you later if I can talk. And hope you enjoyed it. Bye, guys.
3 of 5 bars. Signal strength.
Maybe. Why isn't this going down?
At Magister 480. I gotta go. Stop broadcast. Button.
Okay, I just saw your comment there. Thanks, Chris, by the way, for watching. Bye, guys.